Hi, welcome to So Mom. I am Adele Griffin.
And I'm Priscilla Sands. This season of So Mom, we're sitting down with guests we love, storytellers, educators, and friends, and we're just having cozy, personal conversations about life, change, and everything in between. So what did you do this week, Deli?
I did everything in between. I did all the in between. I didn't do very much. I worked. This was a kind of a work week, but last night I went to a friend's book talk. And, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but you have a friend and you think you know everything about this person, and then you go and see them in a sort of a professional space. And it's just like cracking open a window into their brain, because suddenly they're this different person a little bit, talking through this whole other filter. And she was talking about kind of the process of writing a book and everything that it took, and how her life had been. And I felt so enriched by the conversation, because so much of my relationship with her is text threads and dinners and, something really just more uh, personal and friendship based. And I felt like, oh, it's so nice to have this extra level, this more amplified thing that I'm now putting into the friendship, but also lives apart from the friendship, where I just got to be in an audience and just feel a lot of respect and admiration for somebody who went out and wrote this beautiful book.
What a lovely opportunity. Don't we wish we could do that with all of our friends, see them in a different light and also a
Yes.
professional light.
It's like suddenly you find out that somebody has this whole other thing that you knew about, but
Yeah,
it just comes to light when it's presented to you. You don't always get that opportunity.
how lovely.
Yeah. What about you? What are you doing?
Well, when I was thinking about it, I thought, what did I do this week? And then I realized what I did do, which is I had a conversation with a former colleague who I met probably 13. We were trying to figure out how long it's been, 13 years maybe. And he was working at Wharton in Dubai. So I had a call from this same friend this week, and he wanted me to be connected with someone he knew about an incredible project at over in Dubai, and wanted to know if I would come. And I'm not sure how much involvement I'm going to be able to do from here.
Is it education, or
It
is
is
it?
education and mental health, the two things I love, and really talking about the intersection of neurodiversity and mental health issues, which I've spent a long time thinking about and talking about. But I am going to go over to visit, and I'm really excited because I'm going to make this trip solo. So it's a little bit about reinventing myself, or actually not reinventing myself, but reinventing retirement. So I'm going to continue to do that, and this will be punctuated by a long trip to Dubai.
Reinventing retirement could be a whole other podcast.
I could
Just starring you, if you want to sort of ditch
I
me.
think I'll just, yeah. I think I'll star in that.
We're going to have a little talk after this one.
Yeah. This week, we are so lucky to have Sarah Mlynowski dropping in. Thank you so much.
Hi.
Sarah, I'm going to read your intro, and then we can take it from there. So, Sarah was born in Montreal, Canada. After graduating with a degree in English literature from McGill University, she moved to Toronto to work for Harlequin Enterprises. While she never met Fabio, she used her romance publishing experiences to fuel her first novel, Milk Run. Since then, she has become a New York Times and USA Today best-selling author and co-author of over 50 books for teens, tweens, kids, and adults, including the Whatever After series, the Magic in Manhattan series, the Best Wishes series, and the Upside Down Magic series, which was adapted into a Disney Channel movie. Sarah's books have been translated into 29 languages and have sold, ready for this, 10 million copies. She lives in Los Angeles with her husband and 2 daughters, whom I know.
Yes.
Another connection with you. Thank you so much for being here today, Sarah.
Thank you guys for having me.
And you and I can officially say, go way back.
Way back, like at least 20 years.
I think, yes, we are back. We lived on a whole opposite coast together.
We did.
But I feel like I have a memory of meeting you because you hosted a sort of a writing lounge. And when I met you, I met everybody else. So in a way, you started for me at that moment. But I'm hoping today you can talk a little bit about even before that time.
Before you.
Before me.
Before New York.
It doesn't start with me, I realize.
It all starts with you. Sure. So I grew up in Montreal. My mom was Canadian, born in Montreal. My father was actually a refugee. He was born in Germany in a displaced persons camp after the war. So my grandparents were Holocaust survivors. And I grew up in a very small Jewish community in Montreal. And the school that I went to a Jewish school where we learned Hebrew, Yiddish, French, and English.
I didn't know that.
Yes, yeah. I can read in Yiddish. Yeah, I forget a lot of it, except I can speak Yiddish, is what I just said. So I'm not as fluent now as I used to be at all. As soon as I left Montreal, I kind of lost most of my other languages, just English now at this point. And so I lived there for a while, and then I moved to Toronto to work in publishing because I knew I wanted to be a writer, and I knew I didn't think I'd be able to just jump into writing books. So I thought I would work in publishing instead and learn the business. And I got a job. I took courses, worked at a bookstore, and then got a job at Harlequin. And I loved it there. I was in marketing. And while I was there, they were looking to launch a line of books it was called Chick Lit at the time, which is kind of Bridget Jones' Diary, Sex and the City. It was all stuff that was very popular back then. And Harlequin was looking to launch a line of Chick Lit books, but they didn't have the writers. And they were saying, where are we going to find these 20-something writers to write these books? And I was in marketing down the hall, and I thought, this is my chance. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna write a book. So I started writing Milk Run, and I was only 23, and I was told nobody really wanted to read a book about 23-year-olds. So I aged the character up, and I wrote about a 4 or 5-year-old, and
That's really aging.
really aging. And I wrote about a woman who was working at a romance publishing house because that's what I knew and that's what I did. And I think after I sold my first book to Harlequin while I was there, and I ended up writing another book for them as well. And then I decided to write full time.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the beginning.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. And as you're telling the story, these are all new to me.
Oh,
stories.
I've known you for so long too.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I love your first because so many of us faced a moment and grabbed it and went for it. And that's what a role model you are for your wonderful
I remember thinking, this is my chance. I've wanted to be a novelist my whole life, and this is it. And I'm not going to blow this. I'm going to do it. And I just wrote that book at nights and weekends, and sometimes at the office when I wasn't supposed to be. And I just finished that book. And once I was really proud of myself. I remember printing it all out and thinking, wow, I did it.
I did this.
I actually completed a novel.
Yeah.
It made no sense.
It was a big hit, Milk Run.
It was. It has no plot, at all. Like I didn't know what I was.
You read it. I have read it. I read it when my son was a baby.
Really?
Yeah. And I remember sitting in the little rocking chair and feeling like my life is now just Groundhog Day, but this story is like makes me miss my youth because I was an old person in my 30s.
Aging up now. Yeah. No, it was really fun to write, and I still can't believe that I got a chance to write a book and become a published author in my 20s. Like that was the dream, and it was great to do. And then I ended up leaving my job to focus on writing full time.
When I met you, we were all writing in a big group. You invited me to your home to write with other writers. And for me, it was really a first, even though I had been writing a while, just kind of meeting a whole community. Were you always kind of a community-based person?
Yes. Well, what's interesting is that while I love being a writer and have always wanted to write novels, I'm very extroverted. And for me, the worst part of being a writer is being by myself writing. I don't like that part. I'm not creative like that. I love to be in a community. I love to be around other writers. Um, I have written most of my books myself, but I do co-write a lot. And I worked with co-authors on all the other books. Because for me, I find it really inspiring. I learn from other people. I get energy from other people. And it's a great way for me to work. I almost never want to write novels by myself anymore.
You're also such a big citizen of the writing community. I think, I've known you for so much and we have so much history together, but you also started the OMG Book Fest.
With you.
With me,
with
but you. I won't. Sure, I was in it.
You did a ton.
You were a big leader of that and you had a real initiative. I want you to talk a little bit about OMG because I thought it was such a wonderful thing that you did.
I haven't thought about it in a long time, but I guess I do love community. I love being around other authors. I love being around readers. And I thought, book festivals were starting. They were very popular, but there weren't that many for middle grade readers, for readers like 8 to 12-year-olds. There were a lot for specifically aimed at teenagers. And we were actually at your house for New Year's Eve and with some other authors. And we thought, what if we launched our own middle grade book festival?
We didn't think that.
Okay.
Just you thought.
I had the idea. But yeah, I do have a lot of big ideas. Okay, I have a lot of ideas, but I think my special skill is figuring out who could help me make them happen. I can't make these things happen by myself. What Adele did for OMG, and the OMG was middle grade, was she would throw these amazing, she planned all the author dinners and made everything special and put it all together. And I can't do that. So I love to put myself, I do have a lot of big ideas, and my special skill is finding other people who could make those things come true.
And, well, thank you for that. But I would say like the big idea of OMG was to take all of these authors, go to an underserved community,
right,
and then create a day of author visits. I mean, these schools that wouldn't have really seen any authors suddenly have 20 authors take over the school, make a book fair. Authors went into breakout rooms. So you were, a fourth grader, a fifth grader who had never had any access to authors, and suddenly you'd met all the people. By the end of OMG, I feel like you had, if it started with 8 authors, how many? And
we had 20 by the end.
20 by the end.
I think as an educator, thinking of all those children who never really have the ability to meet writers and even to read, to have the books and the joy that all of you spread. So I know it took a tremendous amount of work. And Adele told me, really it came from you. The idea was yours, and you managed to pull a lot of your friends together to do it. And actually, I think probably it would still be going, right, if it hadn't been for COVID.
COVID did derail it a bit. It just became a lot. Well, the other thing about the book festival is that we decided that it was the circus of books, and we would move it from year to year to a new location because we wanted to get to as many communities as possible. And all the kids, it ended up starting with going to an underserved school and giving them all free books and access to authors. And then we added on a public day for, I think in year 2, we added on a public day for other kids to meet them. And then by year 3, we had an educator day. So we kept adding to it, which was great. But it became, after COVID, just difficult to do.
Yeah. But what a wonderful moment in time, and what a memory you all share.
It's
was great.
interesting to me that, I mean, for someone who has had so much success independently, that you always are a community focused person. I feel like you have a biography of somebody who would just be kind of like up in the attic going 10 million this year, 11 million next year, but I can't talk to anybody. But that is not who you are. You're so community that when you left New York, I felt like I had lost a big part of my community.
That's why I had to beg you to come out here.
That's why I had to come. It was
Yeah,
like,
I don't think it was my lemons. I think it was Sarah Mlynowski.
well, Sarah posted a photo of a birthday. Your was it your 40th? Was it your
Oh,
birthday?
it wasn't my 40th, but it was a birthday party. Yeah.
A birthday party. You posted a photo of your birthday party, and I thought, you've only been there a month. How are hundreds of people at your birthday party? I'm coming for the next year. So it was a funny moment.
But I was so delighted when I heard you were moving here.
It was great.
It was great.
It was like we got the band back together.
We did get the band back together because we used to write there were a lot of us who used to write in New York, and then suddenly it felt like we were all here, and you're really the center of that here, though. But I love it. I liked it. I love being part of your world.
I don't know. I think we both. It's for me. I think I do have a piece of me that always feels like maybe I'll go to the Garret, but you always make me feel like, no, it's sunnier out here in the sunshine.
I feel like I'm always convincing you to do great.
That too. Also that too. But I ended up better for it. So do you think you'll stay in California?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess, things are a little bit more up in the air these days because I lost my house in the Palisades fire, and we were in the Palisades for the last 5 years since we moved here, and we loved it there. And now I guess things are a little bit more up in the air. So we never thought we would ever even consider moving back to New York. But once this happened, we had to, actually discuss it. Is that on the table? Is that something we want to consider? And the answer was not right now. No. We're staying here. We love LA, and things change all the time. I mean, I have 2 daughters, and one is going to go to college in 2 years, and we'll see where the other one goes to college in, 7 years. And then, we'll reevaluate then. But for now, we definitely want to be here.
You had to dig pretty deep in terms of resilience, modeling, how this will impact you, the right to grieve, how you do it with your children watching you the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot in that. For the first thing was it wasn't my biggest fear, which seems that was the most surprising part to me. Like, I guess I have so many fears. I'm an anxious person by nature. In some ways, I'm a hypochondriac. I'm, terrified of something happening to my children.
Right.
As a kid, I was terrified of my parents getting divorced, and then that happened. So I've had worst fears come true. But this wasn't really on my radar as something that was a worst fear, which in some ways made it easier to handle for me because it wasn't like, oh, I was always right about this. One of my friend who's a therapist said, what does it feel like for someone who's always waiting for the other shoe to drop to have it drop? And I said, this isn't the shoe that dropped. This feels manageable to me. I mean, it was in the moment overwhelming, and it was on the national news and all the other, it was terrible in so many ways, but it didn't feel like to me, okay, this is the worst thing that happened. I just tried to manage it. I don't know if it's because I moved around a lot as a kid, that to me moving again didn't feel like, and I had just been living there for 5 years. So it didn't feel like everything, it didn't feel like this was the worst possible thing that could happen to me. It felt like this is something terrible, but I can manage it. In terms of how to model it for my kids, that was something that was really hard for me. And I really wanted to do the best thing that I could. So I actually about so many emails and texts. How can I help? What can I do? And the people I have a lot of friends who happen to be therapists and, social workers. And I kept asking them, well, how do I handle this? You want to help me? Tell me, give me tips. I asked so many people for tips in the middle of this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's so smart.
People who had fires, I reached out to them right away. I'm like, do you have any tips for me? What can I do? People who were therapists, I reached out to, how do I model this? What do I do about the fact that I'm bursting into tears in front of my children? And, the response was, it's okay to burst into tears in front of your children as long as you're as long as they can see that you can handle your pain and you can handle your emotions, but that you can still handle theirs. And that even though you're feeling sad, you know this sadness is not going to break you. You know that you can overcome this sadness. It was actually, it was Dr. Pressman who told me told me that. And I just tried to do that. And I tried to model also to validate their feelings. That's what I was really trying to do, and not to be like, oh, don't worry about that. Don't worry, it'll be fine. I tried to just listen to them. I also really I was told to give them agency as much as I could. And because they felt obviously out of control. So I tried to let my girls make as many decisions as they possibly could. Like my girls picked the house that we ended up renting. We looked at a bunch of different ones, and some I felt were like the more would have made more sense in terms of the house. But my little one loved one of the houses so much, and we could get that and we could do it, even though it had pink neon "Life is Beautiful" signs around the house. She loved it. And one of our friends said, let her, like, if you can, let the youngest child make the decision.
Oh, how smart.
Yeah. And so we did.
You're so wise to involve others and to have therapists. My father was when he was in the Navy during World War II, he was in a terrible fire, and we never knew much about it except how much it had traumatized him. But my parents didn't talk about things. And so we just sort of embedded what stories we had. And so it just burrows in as kind of a layer of childhood trauma. But what you did was, by giving agency to your children, you allowed everyone to process in the most normal way, and you got the help you needed. So
fingers crossed, I hope.
It'll be other things. As my mother said, it's never the thing you worry about most. So whatever they come back at you with, it won't be the fire.
I just tried to help them through. Like my husband and I both, that we were just trying to focus on what can we do for them.
Is there anything that, now that you're a few months past it, that sort of you've synthesized it, that surprises you now that this is, recent memory and now you're post-fire? Is there anything about how you react to things that surprises you? Or
yes, so many things surprised me about the whole experience, actually. I think as I was going through, what surprised me was that people are exactly who they are, even in a tragedy or an emergency. And what I mean is, the friends who are maternal and take care of you they were just heightened versions of themselves in this.
Yeah.
The people who were narcissists it somehow made the fire all about them. Still.
That's really funny.
It's just, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And then my husband is very calm and very in control and just does stuff, takes care of stuff. And he was even more so during this. Like, he was doing a million tasks, getting us hotel reservations, booking us things out, just taking care of all the things.
Yeah.
And in the same way, I didn't change as a person at all in this. And I'll give you two examples, a good one and a bad one. At one point, after we were drunk, we didn't evacuate from our house. We found out the house was gone. We were then at a hotel that was then evacuated because of the sunset, what was it, the sunset fires?
Sunset
yeah.
fires.
So we were evacuated. We were driving through the hills. At this point, there is a line of cars driving. I think at some point I'm going to have to get out and run. Like, I thought this was actually the Hollywood movie part of it, when we're running and leaving the car. We weren't, but we had no idea what was happening. We don't really know the Hollywood Hills that well, so we didn't know where we were going. We thought Waze was somehow taking us into the Eden fires. We weren't sure if our navigation system was working, and. Okay, you know how when something terrible happens, you think you're going to be the mom who can pick up the car and save your children, like in an emergency?
Yeah.
So part of me thought that that's what was going to happen. So my husband's like, okay, can you navigate us another way so that we're not going through the fires? And I have no sense of direction on the best day. So I'm looking at my phone, which is going off with alarms every 2 seconds. And I'm thinking, okay, now I could become a super navigator. And I could not. I was like, I don't know where to go. Luckily, my child, my 16-year-old in the back, is good at these type of things. And so she was like, oh no, if you turn left here, you can go there. And I just froze in that moment, which I'm embarrassed about. But I didn't become the superhuman navigational queen that I thought I could be in the moment. On the other hand, I'm usually a person who could make people happy in the moment, or I could cheer people up, and I can make light of a situation. I always wondered, in a tragic or in a difficult situation, would I be able to make jokes and do it? And I was. I was able to make my kids laugh on this drive. I was able to, I was putting like karaoke fire songs on that was making my kids, they were laughing, but they were just laughing the whole time. And I was really trying hard to do that. And I was able to still be myself. So I guess I did not change into somebody else, which I was surprised by in some ways.
Sure, I get that.
Yeah.
I really get that.
So-
And I think that is something about you when I think of that I have to pay close attention to trying to find out when you are signaling like this is not okay.
Oh, well, what I also found in this situation is people were suddenly treating me like with kid gloves that I'm not used to. Like people would send me these texts trying to give advice, like just giving their feelings or advice or about anything. And then they would be like, I hope it's okay that I said that. Did I insult you? Did I hurt your feelings? And I wasn't used to that. I'm like, it's cool. Like, thank you for thinking of me.
Yeah.
That's the other thing in terms of going through something like this. I loved hearing from people, and I can't speak for everyone, but one of the things that it made me realize is so often when something happens to someone, I don't reach out immediately, or I'm like, oh, I don't know if they want to hear from me. And now I know, yes, they do. I mean, I think they do. I wanted to hear from people. I wanted to know that I was on people's minds, even if they couldn't help. I wanted to know, oh, they're thinking of me. And not just that moment, because you get so much in the moment, but say the people who reached out a week later, or even honestly 3 months later, still thinking about you. How are you holding up? It means a lot to me. And I want to make sure that I do that for other people and don't just assume other people are doing that.
Right. I really understand
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
One of the lessons I learned years and years and years ago really had to do with that. What do people want in tragedy? And I'm somebody I think I would close up, or I'm not sure. But having been head of a school for so many years, there's a lot of loss. And I made a point, and I learned it from a colleague who said people want to see you because you represent something. So as soon as I would hear about a death of a child, a death of a spouse, whatever it was, I would get in my car and drive to their house, always wondering if I should or if I would be
Yes.
wanted.
I think that's so sweet and thoughtful.
And no one ever wasn't grateful.
Yeah.
And when I go to the service, it was the kids who would grab me. Even if I didn't know them that well, it was because I represented something. And I think that lesson is one that you have shared, reaching out, is an important one. People do want to hear. People are touched when others reach out. And I find it lovely that and because of who you are, I know all of your friends wanted to do, and I heard that so much for you. And
I mean, I feel so lucky that I have such an amazing community who looked out to me. I felt totally loved and cared for as this was happening. I felt seen. I felt that people were worried about me. Even like I have an amazing group of friends here, and I still feel like that people keep checking on me, and I have a place, I'm constantly at Adele's house. And I mean, I got texts from both of you as this was happening, and it meant so much to me to know that you guys were looking out for me.
It was strange to have something happen to you, because I feel like in some ways, because you generate communities and because you're at the hub of community, that you're the person that I would look to usually say, oh, what should we do about, this situation or that situation? But then you were the situation. that was
It did feel weird to be
different for us.
I remember because I'm usually the one who like tries to start the text chains about other people, and suddenly I asked another friend, I'm like, are you on a bunch of text chains about me? She said, so many text chains. I thought that was so
Yes, and it was unusual, but it was kind of, I mean, not that I would ever want this.
No.
But it was good to sort of, I don't know, go into a different filter about you and say, oh, Sarah can't start the text chain about what to do for Sarah.
I can't wait for her to start this.
Hi, guys, I'm just starting a text chain about what to do for me.
Well, it's also a statement about who you are and how much you mean to your friends,
thank
to everyone.
I felt very loved and very cared for. And I want to make sure that I can pay that forward to other people who are going through things to make sure that they feel that as well. And like people, it was amazing to see what other people did, even for my kids. Oh, people always ask what they can do to help in this situation. Another thing is that offer to and pick up people's children. Some people really like they came over like, oh, I'm taking your daughter for the day and it's going to be fun and we're taking her to a trampoline park. Like her best friends really did take both of my girls, like people offered them lifts to take them places and do stuff with them. If you have children, I feel like it's so helpful to know that all I wanted was to make sure that my children were taken care of. And so anyone who offered that was really helpful.
I heard once a therapist say, while you want to say to someone, what can I do to help? Nobody really knows what you can do. So just do it.
Exactly.
Just do it. And
Yes.
I thought that was such good advice. So I, as things have happened to friends, I just try and do something rather than say, I'm always here for you, because
100%. No, I mean, I'm thinking back to things that, I mean, and even though when people said, how can I help? That still meant something to me. Like, even if you don't know how to help, then just knowing that they were thinking yes. But I have one, like an editor friend who, instead of sending me a list of play donation centers that I could go to, which I just felt so overwhelmed with.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to go. She texted me, I'm at a donation center. They're giving away great sneakers. What size shoe do you guys all wear? And so I didn't have to make any decisions. I just texted her our shoe sizes. And the next day she showed up with sneakers, and we had no sneakers. So we were very excited to have these great sneakers. That was great. Yeah, so thoughtful.
That is Farron.
Yeah.
That is her brand.
Yeah.
She's has foresight.
Taking care of stuff.
Yeah. Just takes care of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so much fun, Sarah.
Thank you, guys.
Feel as though you're one of those beautiful, will never say onion, but like a beautiful flower that just keeps open, like a peony that just opens
I didn't even
up.
get to tell the story of how I met you.
Oh, okay.
I remember how I met you.
I don't remember.
Because
am I the star of this story?
You were not the star of this. What happened was, I don't know if this is our first meaningful interaction, but I don't know if it's when maybe I met you at Adele's at some point, but I was touring for a book in Philadelphia, and I get my itinerary for what I have to do for my publisher, and on it says one of the schools that I was going to, lunch with the head of school. And this is unusual. I was like, oh, great. That sounds good. Usually I'm like eating a bagel. And you had set up this beautiful lunch in your office, okay, for me. And I couldn't at first figure it out. I'm like, oh, it must be Adele's mom's school. And it was so beautiful. And it was so nice and such a break from like my everyday. And we had this beautiful lunch. It was catered and it was so sweet. Just the two of us. And we had a full like hour of talking. And I remember it being so meaningful.
Mom.
It was so nice.
Could have been In-N-Out burgers.
No, it wasn't. It was really nice. And I remember being so excited because when you're on tour, you feel, I as someone who, just likes to see people that I know through, and I'm such an extrovert, it was so nice for me to be able to sit and chat with someone that I know. So, yeah.
Oh, I love that. So I felt like any writer was a dignitary. And I wanted the kids to feel that and the importance of it. And that it also meant that I would spend time and take that time to.
It was so meaningful to me.
You, what you did.
Oh, with the year being so upside down, what are you doing just professionally? I mean, are you working or like
what
how
am I doing? That is a great question. I had all my work stuff with me. Whatever After series is coming out in October, and then the series does live on in graphic novels. So the second graphic novel of the series will be coming out the month afterwards. I'm a little bit derailed in terms of the last 3 months have not been my most productive writing times, but. As my friends, as like you and Jen and everyone, Jen Smith and people have been telling me, Sarah, it's okay if you take 3 months to figure things out, and like you don't have to write everything right now. And I've written a lot of books over the last few years, so I think that right now I'm just focusing on getting those books finished and completed and coming out. And I do have 2 books coming out in the fall, so
I think you've.
I've earned the right to take 3 months to like a little slower, I think.
It's incredible. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you guys for having me.
So this is one of our favorite times, which is book rec time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to kick it off,
I did. I even brought a book. Well, I hadn't read a book since the fires. I'm an avid reader.
You
try to read a lot. And I just could not focus on reading for a while. But then we had spring break, and I said, okay, I am reading spring break. And I picked up, hold on, let me just accept it's Margot's Got Money Troubles, which I had heard a lot about, by Ruthie Thorpe. And I loved it. This got me out of my reading slump. I read it in one day. I adored it. And what I loved, okay, so it's about a woman who gets pregnant by her. I don't want to give things away. So she gets unexpectedly pregnant at a young age, and then turns to non-traditional ways of earning money. But what I loved about this, and this isn't a spoiler because you find out about it, I think in the first 15 pages, is that the author really plays with point of view. And so she jumps from third person to first person and back and forth. And I'm trying to think of when I've seen that done before. I love books that play with point of view or narrative style. And I really thought that was so clever and so well done. And I adored it.
It was really smart. I hadn't even seen the cover because I did it in Audible.
Oh, really?
It's really good. I loved this book too. I loved it. And it was even interesting to think about, for me, what third person means.
Right. Exactly.
Versus first, like what you're getting. So I felt like it was a little bit of a masterclass.
I completely agree. I thought it was so smart. It seemed to be, the plot was riveting, and she was great at it, but it was really about writing and perspective and what's the truth and what's not. And I thought it was really well done.
So my book is Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConney. And it was recommended by my sister, and usually we have pretty good crossover. And she had loved it, her daughter loved it, her husband loved it. And I opened it, and I had to call her the next day and say, what did you do? I mean, this is everything I think I hate in a book. It felt a little dystopian. It's a family stuck in a lighthouse on an island that's disappearing, and one daughter thinks she's a seal and spends her time in the water. And I thought, I'm never going to get, and it wasn't even a short book. I mean, it took some time. It was unbelievable. It was absolutely riveting.
Mine is Fun for the Whole Family by Jennifer E. Smith. I loved this book. It hits hard on many levels. It's a siblings book. I mean, no spoilers, but it's really heart-filled, it's joy-filled, and it's siblings-filled. And I'm on a text thread with my brothers, and after I read it, I was extra on the thread because I felt so infused with sort of the sibling energy.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to land a book with a lot of siblings and get all those voices right, but she nails it. And it's really one of my favorite books that I've read in a while.
Yeah, it's great.
I'll have to read. I'm on their thread.
On the siblings thread.
It's called the OGs.
Yeah.
And they are, Adele and her brothers are so funny. And this thread is so fast-paced and so hysterical. And then I feel as though once I go in and make a comment, then everybody disappears.
Yeah, it is a little bit true.
Yeah. It's like, oh, Mom's here. We forgot. So that I don't say anything because I don't want to miss out.
But you also write things that are like the end of the thread. You write, very funny, everyone.
You close it off.
Yeah, I do.
Closes it off.
It's like a good chapter end.
Yeah.
Somebody said that we're like, then we're quiet for a while.
They're just getting rid of it.
Thank you again Thank you so much.
Oh, that's been so much fun.
As always.
Thank you so much for tuning into So Mom. If you like what you hear, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, or even give us a review. We'd love to hear from you.